Congressman, welcome back to Face the Facts. Good to see you.
Good to see you again.
The biggest struggle for states, including here in Connecticut, is getting PPE. Basically, they have to compete against each other. Governors vying for a contract to get this vital supply chain here to Connecticut. The federal government is in charge of the supply chain, or is it? It's questionable.
Well, no, the federal government is in charge. We've been encouraging the president to utilize wartime production. So especially along the lines of gloves, masks, caps, gowns, and most specifically ventilators, that there's a direct imperative to make sure that American companies who are more than willing to roll up their sleeves and are appropriately compensated are producing the kind of PPE, the protective gear, that our frontline people need. And by that, I mean our first responders, grocery clerks, but most importantly, the nurses, the doctors, the healthcare professionals, the people in our senior citizen homes and centers that desperately need this equipment to make sure that we remain safe and secure.
And moving forward, we've had governors try to cut deals with China to get massive shipments here to Connecticut. We're working on trying to get more shipments here to Connecticut. We heard some murmur today, we don't know if you heard this in Washington or not, that the federal government may have intercepted a PPE delivery. Have you heard anything about that?
I have not, but that wouldn't surprise me. But at any rate, I think it does, to your point, Mike, it exposes something, as Francis Perkins warned Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Not only do we have to deal with the immediate crisis, in their case, it was the Great Depression, and here it's the COVID-19, or commonly referred to as the coronavirus, but what it underscores is how dependent we are on other nations for supplies that we ought to have readily available here. And hopefully that we learn from this and have emergency preparation. In lieu of that, we should be able to go to immediate wartime production, which is an executive directive and authority that the president has, to make sure that we're producing this, and also that we're doing the most important thing currently and going forward, and that's testing, testing, testing.
Speaking of testing, the availability of those instant tests, CVS is making those available. They are coming to Connecticut soon. The governors are trying to act as a three-state solution, New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. With the response of the federal government so far, whether it's the testing, whether it's the PPE, do you foresee states creating their own stockpiles, in essence, so they don't have to rely solely on the federal government?
Well, let me first and foremost commend Governor Lamont. I think that truly has risen to the occasion, and you often judge leadership by how a person comports themselves during a crisis. And the leadership of Ned Lamont, his temperament, his hands-on working this. I was just on the phone with him not more than a half hour ago, talking about some of these very concerns and making sure that as he goes forward and is coordinating his efforts in the tri-state areas and beyond, he's reached out to all of New England as well and demonstrated real leadership. And yes, I think, like with all things, Mike, this does point out how we're going to have to be prepared in the future. But I want to commend the governor for his response throughout this. And the whole delegation has its sleeves rolled up and ready to do what's ever required. As you know, we've passed 3 packages already, including the most recent $2 trillion. And already, in talking with the governor today about the special needs of small business and him underscoring again how important it is for us to get the money out the door and back into the hands of the states and into the small businesses so that we can continue, as you know, and so many of our viewers know, who are the backbone of our economy here in Connecticut and across the nation.
As we've heard all the governors up here in New England say, state budgets will be decimated by this crisis. Can another relief package be expected in the future? And if so, what would that entail, if you know?
Well, we certainly are pushing for more relief packages. And based on how this goes, and I think it's always important to underscore, Mike, during this, that first and foremost, our concern is dealing with the health crisis and making sure that we've got that under control. If we lose sight of the fact that it's the coronavirus here that's the enemy that we have to contain, then I think we missed the boat. But while we're dealing with this crisis, as you point out, it underscores the need for us both to do more, as we're already witnessing, even with the over $350 billion that went out the door. Small businesses are already saying we're out of money, and the president has called for $250 billion more. Democrats are calling for more money than that and targeted, but also relief directly to our states and municipalities, who, as you point out, budgets have been strained to the maximum, and also our hospitals and community health care centers, who did get money in the first tranche, et cetera, but are going to need more help as we go forward. Let us hope that the actions that have been taken, the science behind this, of course, is that the social isolation, and we're pleased people are adhering and following and listening to the governor's instructions to stay home, stay safe, and stay secure. But this is working and is helping out in battle this enemy. In this case, the enemy is the virus.
To call this a massive undertaking is a massive understatement. So how, as a nation, do we pay for all this? And how long do you think it's going to take our economy to start to bounce back?
Well, I think the good news is that the economy will bounce back, and I believe it'll bounce back strong, provided we're doing the right things, like providing incentives for people, small businesses and large businesses, to maintain their employee base so that they can continue to pay their rent, pay their mortgage, buy their groceries, and do the things that are essential to carry on life. But I do think that we'll respond. Hopefully, as I said earlier, we respond not only dealing with the crisis, but learning from it, and including investments in infrastructure as we go forward. They're going to put people back in work. Social Security relief. We haven't had an increase in Social Security in more than 50 years and 37 years since we've made the program solvent. We have a whole population, over 64 million people, that are relying on this. And we have to make sure, because nobody hoards their Social Security check. They spend it right back into the economy, and they expend it on the things that they need to survive. And whether it's food, groceries, heating and cooling your home, paying the monthly rent, getting your appropriate nutrition, physical therapy, doctor's visits, pharmaceuticals, you name it. These are the things that we have to continue to focus on. And if we do and do our job well, the country will rebound and rebound stronger than it was before.
Congressman John Larson, we thank you for your time, and please stay safe.
You too, sir. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for this public service you're doing for all the citizens of Connecticut.
This is Face the Facts with NBC Connecticut.